Hey guys, David here, TexasHornsFans.com. Want to do a little video on the depth chart that was released for Week 1 for the UTEP game. First depth chart of the season, gives us kind of an indication of who's stepping up and the confidence that the coaches have with some of these guys, especially some of the new guys and the younger guys. So we'll dive into the depth chart and definitely leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about it. What kind of surprised you? What maybe disappointed you? But definitely wanted to look at this one since it's the first one of the season heading into Week 1. So enjoy the video. Welcome. All right, let's dive into the offense first. Try to zoom in here so we could see the names and the listings. No surprise at quarterback. Fully expected Casey Thompson to be, number 2. This year will be his sophomore season, redshirt sophomore, and then Hudson Card coming in at a solid number 3. Didn't expect them to list 4 quarterbacks here, but thought it was interesting that Card was in there. And not Jaquindon Jackson. But, they're both true freshmen, so don't expect to see them play much at all. And then obviously with this year, not even counting toward anyone's, against eligibility, they could play. But hopefully we don't see them play. Would really like to get Casey Thompson as many snaps as possible. And then as we go through the list here, it's interesting to see how many starts each player has already had. So Sam Ehlinger coming into his senior season already has 33 starts. Then going to running back, no surprise I don't think here. I think some people thought maybe Rashawn Johnson would be listed as the first running back over Keontae Ingram. Word is out of camp and reports were that it was kind of an open battle. Ingram was banged up a little bit, which is no surprise. And even freshman Bijan Robinson sat out some practices. But as it is right now, Keontae Ingram, the starter, which to me totally makes sense. He has 15 starts under his belt, junior. And then Rashawn Johnson listed at number 2. And then freshman 5-star Bijan Robinson, number 3. Obviously, everyone's going to want to see what Bijan Robinson has. Hopefully, we see him get some carries against UTEP. And then fully expect, for sure, Rashawn Johnson to get a significant amount of carries and looks at running back. I really hope this year we see just a really strong presence from the running backs. Don't want to see Sam have to run a lot to just make something happen. Sure, we're going to see Sam run on several design quarterback runs, but when it's 3rd and 2, you want your running back to get you the first down. So hopefully we see that more. But no surprise there at running back. Here's what I think is the biggest surprise of the entire depth chart. At the X wideout spot, transfer Tariq Black is listed as the starter over Brennan Eagles, who was the returning leader at wide receiver for the team. Tariq Black is a senior transfer from Michigan and, was a former 4-star recruit out of high school and just couldn't stay healthy at Michigan. Had a foot issue, but was a playmaker when he was healthy. He's 6'3", 217 pounds, so he's not a small receiver. Eagles is a little bit bigger, and we've seen Eagles outbody smaller defensive backs and just win those battles. But Black looks to be a little more, a little shiftier, maybe a little bit more athletic, and definitely just has a little bit more experience, even though he's had was injured some. He's also going to be wearing the number 0, which is going to be interesting. Now, I don't think that this means that Eagles is not going to get playing time. I fully expect him to rotate in there significantly and maybe even overtake, this job down the road. But just interesting that a senior transfer who is brand new to the program is going to be starting over Brennan Eagles. And then in the critical H wide receiver spot, that slot position that LJ Humphrey and Devin Duvernay excelled at the last 2 years, we got Jake Smith starting, who basically backed up Duvernay last year. And then Jordan Whittington in the backup role there. So, of course, Whittington hurt pretty much all season last year with surgery. He'll be a redshirt freshman, and then Jake Smith will be a sophomore. So not surprised about that. I think Jake is a much more natural slot receiver than Jordan, where Jordan is more of a versatile kind of offensive player. Can play in the slot, he can play running back, heck, you can even line him up at quarterback on some plays. I fully expect when we do see more of a 4 wide receiver spot to see Jordan Whittington on the field more. Now, word is out of camp that Mike Yurcich really likes to go 4 wide receivers, especially in up-tempo. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. But right now, I think this totally makes sense to have Jake in there starting in that H wide receiver spot. Sure, a lot of fans are going to want to see Jordan Whittington on the field, and I think that they're going to come up with some ways to get him on the field, even if Jake is on there at the same time. And then at the Z wideout spot, Josh Moore, who is still a redshirt sophomore, but I don't know, for some reason to me it seems like he's already been in the program for 4 years, but just seems like he's been around for a while. Really hope, obviously, that he is able to just step up and be a full-time starter. That would be awesome. I also think Josh Moore, even though he's smaller, a little thinner than some of the other receivers we've had in the past few years, like Colin Johnson or LJ Humphrey and even Brennan Eagles, I think Josh Moore brings the ability to really get behind a defense, to really outrun some guys. I think he is one of the most athletic receivers on the team. So I think all those things combined probably kind of won him the job. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we ended up seeing maybe Tariq Black and Brennan Eagles starting at the X and the Z spot. Obviously there's been some wrinkles added with some more nuanced route running with these guys, and maybe that's another reason why Tariq Black and Josh Moore won the starting jobs at the outside spots. Maybe they're just better route runners. Okay, and then Alvante Woodard listed as number 2. He'll be a sophomore. I believe Marcus Washington is still hurt. And then word is, from camp that true freshman Troy Ormir was likely gonna start at one of these outside spots, or at least get significant playing time before he injured his knee. So it would have been really interesting to see this depth chart had he not gotten injured. Maybe he would have been the starter at the Z over Josh Moore. Who knows, but there's some video out there of him making some phenomenal catches. And then tight end, I think this group could be a much bigger impact than most fans are thinking or maybe give them credit for. But Cade Brewer obviously is going to start as the senior, but big expectations from Jared Whaley, the sophomore. Big tight end, obviously more of a bigger body possession tight end. I don't think we're going to see him run deep down the seam or anything. And then Malcolm Epps moves from wide receiver to tight end, which was his original spot coming in from high school. So I think that's a great move. I thought Epps looked a little out of place last year at wide receiver, especially down the field. He just looked real kind of out of control on the deep ball. So really interesting to see what he's going to bring at a traditional kind of tight end position. But 6'4", 6'7", 6'6", these are big dudes. And I really think we're going to see a much bigger impact out of the tight end position than we've seen in the past 2 or 3 years. And then quick look at the line. Obviously, the anchor at left tackle, no surprise, Sam Cosmi, projected NFL first-round pick. He already has 26 starts, so he comes in as the leader. And he's listed at 6'7". I had no idea he's that big. Or maybe that's a typo. But I don't know. I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was 6'7", 309. And then at left guard, Junior Angular. He's a sophomore, and yeah, there's a lot of expectation for him solidifying this left guard spot. And this is the strength of the line on the left side, without question, with these two guys over there. I think the big question mark with this offensive line is on the right side. So hopefully we see him step up and excel this year over there with Sam Cosmi. And then Derek Kirkstetter moves from guard to center. And, you know, we've heard a lot from Tom Herman and even Sam Ehlinger talk about how versatile Kirkstetter is. So he comes in with as a senior with 28 starts. So you've got another senior leader commanding the most important position on the line is the center. They kind of have to be the quarterback of the line. A lot of people think it's the left tackle to protect your quarterback, which is important, but the center has a lot of jobs that fans never really get to see. They have to call out blitzes, they have to call out stunts. Obviously there has to be kind of a trust relationship with the center and the quarterback, so hopefully that's not an issue. Losing Zach Shackelford last year at center. And then Jake Majors, big time, kind of one of the big time recruits at offensive line, is a true freshman backing him up. And Denzel Okafor kind of works his way around, been around the program for a while, and settles in at right guard. Some thought, including me, that he might be the right tackle, but Okafor is right now going to be the right guard. And then right tackle, Christian Jones, another young guy with not a lot of experience, but has had some snaps. And then Tyler Johnson backing him up at right tackle, who is a redshirt freshman. So that's the big question mark for me, is the right side of the offensive line, right tackle, right guard. Left side of the offensive line is without question the strength. So watch for that on how some of the play calls are done, even like when the guards pull and stunts and maybe some zone blocking and things like that. So watch for how Texas uses the left side of the line as opposed to the right. But obviously, hopefully the right side develops. All right, let's jump on up to defense. Not a lot of surprises here, I don't think. But looking at the line, so you basically kind of have a traditional 3 down linemen, but not really the same concept as we had last year. Obviously, the anchor for this group is Keandre Coburn, a sophomore who started all season last year as a true freshman. Just an absolute beast at nose tackle right there in the middle, but also the type of tackle, nose tackle, who can move and who can penetrate into the backfield and just completely disrupt the backfield. So that's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully, Chris Ash, new defensive coordinator, really uses him as an anchor to create disruption in the backfield from the line of scrimmage. Because if you can do that from your 3 down linemen, your 3 big uns in the middle, man, it just frees up so much for the linebackers and the DBs. And then Taquan Graham, fully expected him to win the job at the other tackle position. He's a senior. I thought he quietly had a really strong season last year. I think he had like 9 or 10 tackles for loss. Didn't have a lot of total tackles, but really thought he had a great season last year, so fully expect him to step up and excel as a senior. He's backed up by true freshman Alfred Collins, which I thought we were going to see Collins at the defensive end position. But, Collins is a big dude. So it'll be interesting to see how he rotates in with this line. I fully expect to see Collins get some snaps, more so than a than a normal true freshman would. So I think they're going to want to get him in there and get him some experience. And then at the DN position, Moro Ojomo, who we've seen, come in and out at times. He comes in as a sophomore, but has I think more experience than a typical sophomore would. And then Jacoby Jones, who's been around the program for a while, backing him up at senior. And then the other big defensive recruit, Vernon Broughton, freshman out of Houston, is listed as third. So, just like Alfred Collins, wouldn't be surprised to see Broughton eventually get some playing time in that rotation. So this group, I think, is deeper than I think a lot of fans have been talking about, but it also has the depth also comes with youth. Okay, so but super important to get these guys going in this new defense by Chris Ash. And then looking at the linebackers, obviously the leader on the defense, the leader among this group, without question, is Joseph Ossai in that jack position. And that expect to kind of see that jack position as more of the outside linebacker / defensive end, so that Ossai can move around and be the attacker that he is. Ossai is an attacker and a disruptor, okay? He's not a traditional down defensive end, okay? He needs to be able to move around. Sure, at times we're going to see him on the line of scrimmage, and then other times we're going to see him off and into more of a traditional linebacker spot. So obviously, like I said, he's the leader. He's a junior. This may be his last year. He's definitely one of the top up and coming linebackers in the country. So, and that's kind of a new position, the jack position, but it's still that kind of hybrid end outside linebacker. And then middle linebacker Jawan Mitchell. Remember, he was a transfer, a junior college transfer last year, and ended up with significant playing time. And so he gets the start at middle linebacker. And judging from what we saw from him last year, I think that he showed to be more of a run stuffing, line of scrimmage attacking linebacker. Thought he struggled some at times in pass coverage, but maybe with this kind of new defense, and if the front down linemen do their job, maybe Mitchell is more freed up to be that attacker. And then Court Jaquez, I think that's how you say his last name, is backing him up, or Adelio Adeoye, who will be a sophomore. And, this is, of all the positions on the defense, I think middle linebacker is the biggest question mark and the least solidified depth-wise. The other linebacker position, the Will DeMarvion Overshone, moves from defensive back to this position. He's also going to be wearing number 0 on the defense, kind of mirroring Tariq Black. But, Overshone is definitely, I think, that hybrid type of player who, if he is a defensive back, he's a big defensive back. And if he's a linebacker, he is a faster, more athletic linebacker that you got to find ways to allow him to move around. So going to be interesting to see how he fits in at a linebacker position coming over from cornerback. And then David Gabenda, who we saw, at times last year, he'll be a redshirt freshman, backing up Overshone. And then Jalen Ford is in there as a true freshman, backing up as the third guy. So I think of actually the entire team, the linebacker position to me as a whole is the biggest question mark, just because I don't really know what to expect other than from Ossai. I think we all know what to expect from Ossai, but I just think the middle linebacker position is kind of up in the air in terms of depth and impact, And then obviously we kind of have an unknown with Overshown moving from defensive back to linebacker, but it could be a phenomenal fit. So, and then going through the DBs, obviously this group last year was really bad at times, and then at other times they just had to make the best out of what they had. Really, really banged up last year. I think this year the youth excuse is gone. We've got a senior here, we've got several juniors here, so that excuse that, oh, these guys are young, they need some in-game snaps, well, that's gone now. But look at the starts for these guys. 10 starts for Jamison, 7 starts for Jalen Green, Chris Brown with 12, B.J. Foster with 14, Caden Stearns with 21 starts. You got Anthony Cook down there with 7 starts. These guys have experience, okay? It's time to step up and lead. So, fully expected Deshaun Jamison to start at one of the cornerback positions. He's proven to be just an absolute playmaker. So, he's also listed as the number 1 kick and punt returner. So he's obviously that athletic. We've seen what he can do when he gets an interception and the ball in his hands. We've already seen him run back kicks for touchdowns. So he's just a really athletic cornerback. Not the tallest, but just knows how to make plays. Jalen Green backing him up. I actually thought Jalen Green was going to start at the other cornerback position. But with the DBs, these guys are going to rotate in. Okay, there's going to be a lot of rotation with the DBs, especially given what the offense is going to show. But Jalen Green has experience, was a big-time recruit coming out of high school. He's a junior now. So we'll see him rotate in there. But fully expected Jamison to get one of the starting spots. Chris Brown starting at strong safety over B.J. Foster was a pretty big surprise, but Chris Brown makes plays. He showed last year that, man, when he was on the field, he just finds the ball and makes plays. B.J. Foster, I think, is the biggest hitter among this group. Foster is also the guy that you expect to come up to the line of scrimmage and just absolutely blow things up. But we're going to see a lot of B.J. Foster. But that's really cool to see the depth and strength and experience here at this position. 12 starts, 14 starts, and then you've got Tyler Owens coming in as a sophomore who got some time last year as a freshman, and I thought from what little we saw of him, got better toward the end of last year. Free safety obviously is locked up with Caden Stearns, the other projected NFL first-round pick. Comes in with 21 starts, has been starting since day one. He was I believe a former 5-star recruit. But, hopefully he can stay healthy. He's had some injury concerns as well. But he's definitely the leader back there. And then Montrell Estelle, backing him up. We saw him some last year. He is already a junior. It kind of seems like, I don't know, to me it seems like he just came into the program. But at least he has some in-game snaps, okay, which is important. And then the other cornerback position, I was actually kind of surprised to see Josh Thompson listed as the starter. Not that he didn't deserve it or that he doesn't have some experience. I just thought maybe Jalen Green or Anthony Cook would get that spot. But, we'll see. But again, some of this stuff is in flux. These guys are going to rotate. Kenyatta Watson, who I thought looked really good at times last year, in the little bit that we saw him, he'll actually be a redshirt freshman. And then, like I said, this group is so deep, and there's even some younger guys on here that's not even listed in the 3 deep for the cornerbacks and the safeties. The spur position is that kind of nickelback position that can move around the field. Right now, you're looking at Chris Adamora, sophomore, getting that start there over Anthony Cook, who actually started, had several starts last year at cornerback. Cook, if you remember not that long ago, was going to transfer away from Texas. Then he decided to stay. So maybe that played into a little bit of him not getting a starting job for week 1. But could we see Anthony Cook eventually taking over this position? I absolutely think so. And then, it's just, like I said, it's a deep group that you've got to be confident about the depth, but a group that we got to see step up. We got to see them step up and take over and take advantage of their of the experience that they bring. So, but I also want to see less expected of this group. I want to see more being done with the guys up front, with the linemen and linebackers, to take pressure off of the defensive back so that they're not constantly running around, chasing receivers that just kind of have free reign. So anyway, those are my thoughts on the depth chart, my surprises, my expectations. Definitely drop your comments below, and then don't forget to check us out at TexasHornsFans.com.